been exploring this abandoned farm site that the owner tells me dates back to the 1920s. This is a massive property with tons of pasture, barns, and other buildings. Short drive through this pasture and we'll pass by the old horse barn before we arrive at what used to be the main living house. I started this day by walking through the woods toward an old collapsed cabin. This is when I spotted my first find. I wasn't quite sure what this was at the time, but after I did some research, I discovered it's an old milk crate. Sometimes milk bottles were delivered directly to homes. I'm thinking this one was probably used on the farm while they were milking their cows. I finally made it to the collapsed cabin and was surprised that it still had a few items in it. As you can probably tell, I'm a little out of breath. This cabin sits pretty deep in the woods from the main house, which makes me doubt that it ever had electricity. This also probably explains this old pre-way fireplace insert that was left behind here. Pre-way was a company that manufactured prefabricated fireplaces during the 60s and 70s. These became popular during the post-war housing boom before the company eventually went bankrupt in the 1980s. It was a major supplier for the Sears and Roebuck catalog. This was extremely popular during this time period. Many Americans actually ordered things like fireplaces, appliances, and even entire houses. It makes sense that these bed frames were placed so close to the fireplace. Before electricity, people often slept near the main heat source to stay warm. Cast iron beds were considered safer than wooden ones around an open fire. And then I found this old electric stove that sort of ruins my no electricity theory. So now I would say the cabin probably had electricity available to it at some point later on, after it was originally built. This chimney liner was made by Dickey Clay Manufacturing in Birmingham, Alabama. This would have been used inside a chimney to help vent the smoke from the fireplace or a stove. I then made my way back towards the main house when I found this green glass bottle made by Owens, Illinois. Bottles like these were common during the early 1900s. I'm not quite sure what it was used for, but during the Prohibition, breweries were still allowed to produce beverages with less than 0.5% of alcohol. They were called near beers, and they helped many breweries stay in business during that time period. You can tell that it's an Owens, Illinois bottle by the O circling the I on the bottom of the bottle. Owens, Illinois is one of the top glass manufacturers. They even created the first automated bottle maker in 1905. Noticed a few more bottles on the way back. Then found this bottle with a really cool Anchor logo on the bottom of it. After some research, I found that this was the logo for Anchor Hocking, another major glass producer. Owens, Illinois and Anchor Hocking were major competitors in the glass industry during the 20th century. Over time, they did specialize in different areas. Owens, Illinois focused on bottle manufacturing. Anchor Hocking became known for cookware and other heat-resistant glass products. I then noticed another Owens, Illinois bottle not too far from it. I then made my way back to the home site. I'm really glad I decided to look into this shed. I noticed a few old items hanging on the wall. And luckily I didn't crush what was hiding at my feet. I guess this shed somehow transitioned into a dump site over the years. But I can't really complain at some of the things I decided to throw away. I was starting to get a little pressed on time, so I just started grabbing the bigger bottles. Probably have to come back later and dig through some of this stuff to see what else I'll find. Couldn't quite make out this label, but it was some type of almond oil. They found this cool bottle of turpentine. They were very common in the mid-1900s for a variety of things. And there's really no telling what all you can find out exploring. I was surprised to find this little makeup container. This was a Helena Rubinstein silk fashion makeup container. This was once considered a very high-end luxury cosmetic. She once said that there's no such thing as an ugly woman, only a lazy one. I definitely wasn't planning on finding anything related to the Florida Gators on an Alabama farm. This bottle was part of a SEC competition hosted by Buffalo Rock. Football was very popular in Alabama during this time period. This was back when Paul Bear Bryant was coaching. With the bottle still being in this old barn, I'm going to assume it wasn't a winner, but I'll definitely add it to the collection. Made a few trips with the Florida River back and forth carrying bottles out. Then decided to go explore along the river. I found this random plastic shelf that didn't really belong out here. I'm assuming a tornado probably carried it. I then found these old ruins. You really can't tell in the video, but it's not too far from the river. It sits uphill about 15 feet from the river, and you can see where water used to run up underneath it. At first I thought it could have been a well, but I wasn't able to find a hole like you would expect. My next guess is a spring house, but I'm still not entirely sure. One thing that puzzles me is how far away the spring house would be from the main house. It's several hundred yards away. This makes me think there is another cabin nearby. But this is all the time I have for the day. If you enjoyed this video, please hit subscribe to see what we find next.